One of the biggest stories in 2026 so far has been team communication. And this is because Valorant Esports has been doing live listen ins in almost all of their games in VCT. That has led to some really fun, interesting, and kind of unfortunate moments for some of the teams like this.
Yeah, I'm running.
There should be no one here. Yeah, I wonder. They're pushing everything.
One enemy remaining.
Listen to me, okay?
And this.
Sorry, guys.
I tap once.
I'm running away from my
Watch
man.
out
It's hard
CT
to...
yellow now.
Kron, I'll figure
Hey,
you wall up, Kron.
Yeah,
Wall
I
up,
do.
Kron. I mean, guys, we need to do something. Guys, get
Hold the mid. But mid one.
fight mid.
Hey, mid, hey,
Back
mid,
one,
back for it.
Okay, so instead of piling on to Vitality and Carmine Core for their sort of unfortunate listen-in timings, I want to focus on how Energy communicates because it is some of the best communication that I've heard so far in 2026. This is what a World Championship team sounds like when they are at a crucial moment in a crucial series for the future of their season.
As soon as, let's go. Walk. They smoke behind.
Okay, so I'm going to pause a bunch and kind of break down each little piece of this round and how they're communicating about it and try to explain some of the really important good habits that they have and sort of the important information that is being relayed between the team. To start off, Mata is leading the pack, and so he's also leading the communication. We can see him here on the Neon. He's taking first contact into Mound, and he is the furthest ahead, so he has the most information, which is why he's speaking the most. And the call that he makes here is that, hey, they smoked behind, which is basically the defense is probably falling back and they've smoked behind themselves. So don't make any noise because they don't have information and we don't want to tell them that we are coming C. Right now, 100 Thieves has no idea what's going on the map. And so Energy has a small little window to make a play, and they don't want to give 100 Thieves a tip about what is about to happen.
Yeah, keep walking. Okay.
Okay, right there, that might seem like a little small thing, but Mata continues to lead what is happening, and Ethan responds with just a nice little, okay. That is a very, very simple communication, but it's something that a lot of sort of middle of the pack teams miss, is this idea of like having a conversation about the round. And what I mean by that is when you make a call, if nobody responds to it, then sometimes there's like this weird dead air, and sometimes not everybody will be on the same page. They might kind of doubt the call. But when somebody, especially in IGL, gives you the affirmative, okay, this is like, I'm with you, basically, everybody is going to immediately lock in, okay, that call is good and it has been affirmed as being good. Okay, let's do that, right? So there's no need for anybody to doubt this because two of the teammates have already agreed this is what the plan is.
Oh, bro, I'm close. I'm trying close.
Okay, so a lot of stuff just happened there, and it sounds kind of chaotic, but I want to break down why this is still good. Basically, there was an explosion on the A side of the map, which indicated to Energy that, hey, 100 Thieves has decided to start re-clearing rubble. And you can see that on the minimap, they now have confirmed, essentially, that nobody from Energy is on the A side of the map. That means that Energy has like a 3 or 4 second window to execute on C site before the rotations start to come in. And they realize that they have this really, really tiny window to make the round good. In Valorant, a lot of the times, the difference between a really good play and a bad one is just timing. And so Energy realizes that they right now have the perfect timing to make a good play on C. And if they wait for too long, it's going to be a bad play. So they immediately all spring into action and they all start saying exactly what they're going to do next. And so it sounds very chaotic as everybody starts talking, but they're trying to coordinate something that's actually very complex. You know, how do we get into the C site? What utility is being used? Where are we pathing? How are we going into this blind fight? And where should everybody be positioning as they do this? So everybody needs to say what they're going to do. And you'll notice that there are 0 questions being asked. Everybody is literally just saying, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And because there's like 4 or 5 people talking at once, it sounds kind of crazy. But if that communication was like, hey, where should I prowler? Hey, where should I scale? Hey, do you want me to do this for you? It would get way messier and way slower. But because they're all just directly stating, I'm doing this, everybody just hears what their teammate is doing and can then form a picture about what is about to happen.
I'm ulting.
Nothing shroud.
Take Kevin. Come.
With you, Lies all up plant.
Okay, so right there is another really, really critical part. Mata is still sort of in charge about how far they go into the site and how aggressive they get because he's the duelist and he's the furthest one forward. And he says, hey, let's take heaven, which is their call out for, you know, the CT area, this ramp area. They call it heaven. And Mata says, hey, I'm going here. And then he specifically calls out Geo, who is Kiko, on the Omen to come with him. This is really, really important because a lot of times people will make a call, hey, let's do this. But then if you don't specify who you want to do the play with, a lot of times nobody will do the play because they all just kind of assume that somebody else will do the action. And so when he says, hey, take heaven, Geo, come, Kiko knows, oh, I need to follow my Neon right now. And Kiko says, okay, I'm with you. And that is also really important because, again, it affirms to Mata, okay, somebody does have my back. I'm not going into this play alone.
Take heaven.
Wait, Scoop, hold flank, Scoop, hold flank.
2 seconds.
30 seconds.
Okay, so again, kind of a chaotic situation. Multiple things are happening at once. Energy does not know where 100 Thieves is, and so they have to kind of like account for a variety of different scenarios that could be happening. So Mata is saying, okay, let's control CT. Kiko's saying, I'm with you, I got this. Scuba is calling out where he's putting his Viper Orb utility. And Ethan realizes, okay, well, we have a wall towards A, but we don't have a wall directly behind us. So somebody could have walked down B and lurked behind us. So he calls out Scuba, again, using his name directly, hey, go hold flank. And Scuba, because he has been directly told to do something, he recognizes, I have to go back and do this right now. And he immediately responds and goes and holds flank.
I've got orb, guys. Yeah, I have water.
Good flank. Do it.
And right there, as he leaves, he says, I have God Orb, which is the name for their smoke right here, which is going to help them play post plant. And Ethan says, I have water. So everybody kind of understands we've got two players sort of fighting for spawn. Mata is doing a forward aggressive position to try and tax the retake utility, which is going to be very effective here. Ethan is telling his teammates, I have information on nobody coming through water at the moment. And then the other players are going back to hold flank and set up for their post plant.
Post flank, guys. Take heaven fast. Yep.
Okay, so Brock is saying, guys, remember, do our post plant. Basically, we have good position, we've got good utility, the plant is good to be able to play from mound, reminding the team, do the post plant. And Mata is essentially giving early information, hey, they're starting to retake heaven fast.
Water, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
first one. One flanking. Two more heaven. For melee.
Yo, go fight flank. Play out. Go
Omen
fight
Silva
flank.
heaven.
Play out.
Omen 1, he's far.
Okay, this is really, really good communication. In Valorant, the situation is going to change so quickly, and you have to be able to react really, really quickly as well, which is why these sort of action statements are so much more important to make than trying to, you know, ask your teammates what they want to do. And some people feel kind of weird doing this in the game, and you can see, like, especially in newer teams, there's a lot of like, hey, I don't want to tell my teammates what to do because, I mean, they're good players too, and they should know. But a lot of the times you have to just direct your teammates. You can't have that sort of, you know, politeness. You just have to be, you do this, you do this, you do this. And so Ethan says, get out of sight, go fight this guy flank. Mata's saying, you know, they're coming here. Scuba is reminding everybody, hey, we have this orb for post plant. And you can just see how quickly energy is reacting to these situations because they are all just directing each other and sort of like directing traffic about how they want to play the situation.
He's far.
I've got orb, guys. I'm off you, Scoop.
You're alone in sight now, bro.
Hold my orb, okay? Brock? Off you, Scoop.
Okay, so what you'll notice right there is that Mata is dead, but that doesn't mean that he's out of the round. Right now, there's sort of like a little micro play happening where Ethan and Scuba have gone back to fight the flank. And that means that there's not very many people left on site. So Mata is just reminding from dead comms, Brock, you're alone on site. He doesn't need to micro Brock or do anything more than that. He just needs to kind of like update him on the situation because the other teammates are busy doing their own little micro play. And Mata just wants to remind Brock, hey, the situation has changed. Don't play too aggressively. You just need to play your life because you don't have any support.
I'm going inside, Scoop. You're fine, you're fine.
Right there. Love that. Scuba had said, hey, tell me when you need the orb. Kiko says, orb up. Ethan decides, hey, I need to go throw this utility for my teammates on site. He tells Scuba, I'm leaving you. You're alone. And just like that, again, the situation, the circumstances have changed, but everybody's on the same page because the communication is so clean.
God smoke in 5. God smoke in 5. Play for God smoke.
I saw their next.
I'll smoke in a second. Smoking now.
Orb down now, Scoop. Orb down.
Again, just like really, really nice communication. Mata not saying too much, but saying just enough, just reminding teammates about certain timings that are happening because he has the bandwidth to do this since he's not focused on his crosshair. He's calling when the smoke is going down, reminding Scuba, hey, you can save your Viper juice because Kiko's about to smoke here. And then, of course, Ethan is coordinating when he throws his eye, get ready to spam. All these tiny little micro things are just helping everybody on the team understand what could be a very chaotic situation and make sense of it so it's much easier to play.
Flank low. 120.
Okay, Scuba dies to the flanker, calls out the damage at the same time as the other players from 100 Thieves are coming in. And so Ethan is coordinating what's happening on site. Scuba's updated what's happening behind them. It's kind of a crazy situation because they are being pinched. It's a pretty good retake from 100 Thieves so far, but Energy is still going to be able to navigate this.
Fight up. Flank 120.
Flank. Nice, Gio!
Fuck you.
Come on, bro!
Bro,
Okay, so I love that there. You know, it does get crazy. This game does get very chaotic at times, and you can hear sort of the tension in their voices rising as things are happening. They're able to hit some shots, wonderful shots from Kiko, and then at the very end you hear Scuba saying, hey, the guy on flank is coming, you know, here's how much damage, reminding them again, this last guy's coming, I did some damage, make sure that you watch out for him. Kiko's able to flick around, get the kill, and then of course, one of the best parts about the game, celebrating with your teammates when you guys handled a very tough situation. This is another area that you'll see all the good teams do, which is that when a good play gets made, when the team comes through a tough situation, they all celebrate, they pump each other up, and that positive energy is going to carry forward into the next round and the next round and the next round. So this was a wonderful round from Energy, and I can see why this team is able to, you know, come back from deficits all the time and why they are so resilient in these games where they fall behind, because their communication is really just excellent. They have really, really good habits as far as how they talk to each other in the game. And I love the listen-ins that we're getting this year. So let me know if you guys like this type of content, because I will happily do a lot more of these sort of like pro team listen-in translations about what's going on, why certain habits are good or bad, and how that's going to affect the outcome of rounds.